What's going on, permaculture community? Now I have a couple introductory points to talk about for the start of my channel, Kalamazoo Permaculture. Now, for those of you who don't know, Kalamazoo is a city in southwest Michigan, and it's a very unique city. It's the only Kalamazoo in existence. There have been songs written with this city name, but the idea behind me and Kalamazoo Permaculture is I've been into nature and science and studied it my entire life, from reading books at a young age to schooling, pursuing knowledge, using the internet. Man, the internet, the ability for me to talk to you directly with no filter, no publication, no publicized, filtered medium, just raw, no editor, no raw medium beats the internet. Now, my name is Ken Baker. I am from Kalamazoo, born and raised in southwest Michigan, and I believe permaculture is going to be the future of agriculture. And let me explain why I think that. I think that the earth has gone through changes throughout its entire existence. However long you deem that to be, the earth is a system and it's dynamic. It is not stagnant. It doesn't stay like this for very long geologically. The earth heats up, cools down, heats up, cools down. And the people that lived for many, many years in these environments in America, Africa, Europe, they moved when the climate shifted. When the climate changed and the river dried up, they packed up their nomadic settlements, left a lot behind, and moved to greener pastures. We can't do that. If you own land, if you own a house, everything you have is put into it. If you rent and you own a vehicle, where are you going to go? You're going to go to another place. As I'm speaking right now, California is on fire. California is burning. The climate is shifting. It's changing. It doesn't matter if it's warming or cooling. It's changing. And I believe permaculture is a way for humans to stay in areas longer than they otherwise would. Now, an area that's drought-stricken, we know some of the top permaculturalists that are out there have proven that you can turn drought land into productive oases. It's all about capturing water. It's all about gravity and using the systems that have been around since the dawn of time to your advantage, not using giant pumps and thermonuclear power, right? Using not thermonuclear as in war, but heating up water with nuclear material. Why? Why? When you have to run power to pump water out of the ground, it just makes no sense. If we use principles and practices globally that permaculture embodies, then we can reduce the power, the energy consumption of the planet drastically. And this is what's needed. If this doesn't happen, there's going to be a mass die-off of the human species, the human organism. And permaculture is a way for people to mitigate their own extinction. They can stop it, they can reverse it, they can help their neighbors. The idea is that you start a community, and this is the idea behind Kalamazoo Permaculture. I know there's already a permaculture-based business or educational center here in Kalamazoo, and I more power to them. The more the merrier, right? I want to reach everybody and anybody who's willing to listen and wants to do something about what's happening, because I don't want to be the one person with the lights still on, with food in the root cellar when everything's said and done. I don't want to sit back and in my rocking chair in my old age have abundance on my property and all, and everybody else around me is suffering. Why? When I know now that if I do a lot now, many will benefit later. That's the idea behind this channel. That's what I'm about. And climate change has been a big thing that I've been following my entire life. And that's one thing that a lot of permaculturalists, they don't talk about. It's kind of that elephant in the room that they all acknowledge, that, they need to do stuff to make things more sustainable, more green, more whatever spin you want to put on it, whatever verbiage that's popular at the time, abundance, all these things. It's also the whole premise of permaculture is to provide, no matter the climate, as much food as possible for the human organism while doing negative damage to the environment, ideally building the environment, not destroying it, tending to the environment in a way that's responsible, not putting in invasive species that take over and remove natural, no. Doing it as stewards of the land and making appropriate decisions based upon your climate. And I feel what's going to happen, what should happen, is the model of the DC power grid. For those of you who don't know, the power grid was originally designed to be a DC power grid, direct current. Very short lengths of wire were required from the power station to the end user. And this was Edison's idea because Edison and Nikola Tesla had a feud going on. Whose system was better? What kind of power distribution was better? And we found out that high voltage, low current AC could be power distribution for large areas at a distance from a larger power plant. So instead of having smaller power plants, more regionally located, there became mega power plants, coal, nuclear, dams for certain areas, solar for certain areas. So instead of a ton of tiny coal-fired or wood-fired power plants, which it most likely would have been wood, coal for the ability to burn coal, and then you could easily transition to wood when it was available, or other organic resources that are technically sustainable in certain ways, and not fossil fuels. The whole dynamic would have been different had we approached the power grid in a DC fashion. So that's the approach that I want to take with permaculture. I feel like you watch the big names to get the overreaching principles, the ideology, right? The teachings of the founding fathers of permaculture, if you will. And once you understand that, you need to turn your gaze to local authorities on the topic. And there should be many. There should be many. You should all have somebody that wants to be a permaculturalist. It's almost religious, but not. And if everybody knew somebody who was a permaculturalist and had land and was practicing permaculture, I don't think anybody would go hungry. I really, truly don't. I don't think there'd be a hungry person in any city or town, and that's just the idealist in me. I'm being idealistic with my attitude towards where permaculture will be in 10 or 15 years. And I feel like if I sit back and be in business for myself and only worry about providing for my family and my friends and my nuclear group, then I don't think I'm going to be happy when I sit back and wonder about all the things I've done and what I could have done different in my old age or at any point in time, and say I could have done more to help more people.